God will not fail you. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding. That is Proverbs 3 and 5. And today we're going to talk about trusting God. And there's a story behind this right here. I want you to see it. And I'm going to bring it a little bit closer for you because I want you to get the full scope of what this means. I am not an artist by any stretch of any means. I'm not that artist. But sometimes the Lord gives me something to do in reference to art. He'll give me an idea. He'll show me a picture. And I want you to see all these imperfections. Okay? And so what I was saying earlier is that I tell God, "You sure you want me to do this? Are you sure? Are you really sure? Because I'm not an artiste, but I see something and I'm like, okay, God, you got it. You got it." Well, hopefully you got to see all of the imperfections. And I almost threw this away. Why? Because it wasn't perfect. It wasn't what I envisioned. It wasn't what I saw. It wasn't anything that you would want to behold as a person who loves art, right? I walked past this when the mistakes were happening, the imperfections were happening. I left this on my crafts table for like 3 weeks. It was like 3 weeks to a month. And the Lord was like, I want this completed and I want it done. And because I was finna throw it away. I was like, well, I'll just buy another, board, canvas and start over. And as I sat down and I was telling my daughter, I said, well, go ahead and, I was taking all the paper towels off of it that dried up on it and everything. And I told her, she was like, well, she was trying to give me ideas on what I could do. And I was like, I said, no, I'm just going to start over. And I'm going somewhere with the story. I said, no, I'm just going to start over. I don't like it. It didn't come out how I wanted to. The paint, with the stencils came out everywhere. It just ran on in other parts and different things like that. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm good. I'm good on this. I'll just do it over. And so as we were taking off the paper towels and was crumbling everything up, and I had handed her this. I handed it to her, and I said, "Okay, go ahead and check it. Just throw it in the trash." And then the Lord stopped me. He said, "No." He said, "Trust in me isn't pretty." He said, "Trusting me isn't a perfect artistic piece." He said, "Trusting me is ugly. It gets ugly trusting me." Why? Because when it comes to, and y'all, so let me stop this real quick. So I had her to bring it back to me before she could throw it away. And I just went over some of the other pieces that I could, and redid some painting, just to make it look just a little bit better. And it wasn't perfect. It has rips in it. It has it's worn thin in some areas. Things aren't aligned. The paint drips everywhere. You can hardly see the word trust God. You can hardly see it, but it's there. Just like you don't think you can see God right now, but he's there. You don't think, and I'm preaching this from a place of a trust God season. When it's hard to see him, and I hate to sound cliche-ish, but when it's hard to see him, you still have to trust him. When it doesn't come out the way that you thought it should, you still have to trust him. When things are messy, they're just messy. And what you envisioned isn't what turned out to be. But God said, I can use it. He said, I can use you, regardless of what you think, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what others think of, regardless of how things are presented to you, regardless of how the enemy is fighting you, no matter what it looks like, I can still use you. And I'm still going to come through for you. So what does it look like to lean on our own understanding? What does it look like when we may not be trusting him like we think we are? Well, there's a few things that the Lord gave me concerning that. And that is one, when we try to reason with what's happening to us. When we try to reason with what's happening to us. See, the Lord had, and when I say I'm coming to y'all from a trust God season, that's exactly what I mean. He's been dealing with me for a minute. Like this picture here, I'm going to show it to you guys. I'm going to show it to y'all. He says, dark times does not dictate my outcomes. And I want you guys to see that. So, regardless of what it looks like, I know it may not be perfect. I know that it may not be what we think. I know things are not turning out the way that you think it should. But understand this. Understand that it's not done. See, we try to reason with what we're dealing with what we're facing, right? And we look at it. This is another way to know that we are that we're leaning to our own understanding. It's because we think it's finished. We think it's done. But God is like, it's not done. I didn't say it's done. It's not finished. You're just still in the process of what you're dealing with. So understand that don't try to reason with what you're going through. And which is going to lead us into, you know what I'm saying, like another thing. Because when we try to make sense of what we're facing, what we're dealing with, what we're going through, it's not just going to be us that comes up with that. It's going to be the enemy telling his lies, selling tricks, selling lies. He doing that. And we think, we allow, it's a seed that he's planting. And if we're not careful, we will walk out those seeds. We will water those seeds. We will bring it into fruition, and we can't do that. We got to trust him even when it's ugly. We have to trust him. And then when you try to negotiate with what's happening, with what's going on around you, when you try to negotiate with it, well, maybe if I do this, this will change, or maybe if I do that, that'll change. This isn't a quid pro quo season. This is trust God season. This is trust him and lean not to your own understanding season. This is God's going to do it in dark times. Dark times will not dictate his outcome. This is it. When it's dark, when it's dark, you still trust him. When you can't see your way, you still trust him. When it's messy, you still trust him. Oh, and it's gonna have some beautified spots. And and you can't even see some of the thin layers here. I can see them as the artiste. God can see them as the artiste. But those who are looking onto it can't see it. You can't see what I see from here. Why? Because I created it. So I know all the imperfections. I know everything that's going on right in this painting. But you don't. You see that it could be abstract. You would never know, because I could have left this up to your own interpretation. But instead of doing that, I wanted to, well, God actually wanted me to share this, and he's been wanting me to share this for a while. And I was just like, but I'm doing it now. He sees the imperfections in me. He sees the imperfections in you, but it doesn't mean that it's still not beautiful. Because I've shown a couple of people this, and they like, oh, I like that. I like that. Okay. Yeah, other people will see the beauty in what you don't. Why? Because as the artiste, as the person that's going through it, you are the one who sees everything behind the scenes, what's going on, the imperfections, the flaws, all of that. You see the go through, but they see the breakthrough. God sees the breakthrough. And your scars will not even be visible. See, that's how I know it's not done yet. That's how I know we're not in the finished product yet. It's because right now, scars can still be shown. Wounds can still be shown. Flaws can still be shown. But when God does it, it's perfected. And nobody will be able to see it, only what you share. Okay? So when it comes to, and when you see me looking down, I'm just looking at some notes. And y'all know me, how I am about my notes. So also, another sign that you're leaning to your own understanding is when you become angry and frustrated because things are not happening the way you think it should. But it's happening just the way God wants it. And we have to trust him, even though it's ugly. We have to trust him, even though there are mistakes. Even though things are messy behind the scenes, we still have to trust him. When we walk in anger and frustration, that's because we've allowed the lies that the enemy has planted to grow in us. Those seeds have begun to fester and take root. So we got to get that up out of there. We got to find something, some way to replace it. And that's just trusting in him. Trusting in him. See, God is not going to fail you. He's not going to fail us. That's not who he is. There is nothing in his word that shows that he fails his people. Show it to me. Even in captivity, he brings. Even in captivity. Even in bondage, he finds a way to bless you. Even in all the mess and all the ugliness, through the process, you still get blessed. There's still blessings there. Hold on to that. Hold on to that, which is going to take me here. When you forget what the Lord has done for you in your life to bring you out, that's what we're to hold on when we are trusting God. That is what we're to hold on to. You know what, God? You did it before. You'll do it again. Yeah. God doesn't fail his people. He tells us over and over again. I believe it's like 30 some times in the word where he says, I will not fail you. He will not fail. God does not fail. He He cannot. God cannot do something that is not of him. He's not going to. He can, but he's not going to. He will not fail you. He's right there. Just trust him. And when you leave the Lord out of your decision-making process and go to the world for advice about how to fix things, how many of us are quick to Google, quick to pick up a phone and ask a friend, quick to try to lean on the intellect, the knowledge that you've learned? You try to lean on what you learned in school and college, and hey, well, this is the answer to this, and this is the answer to that, and God is just like, lean on me. I know what's going on. Your books, your textbooks can only tell you about the seen. Your textbook can't tell you about the unseen, because God is the only one who can see behind the scenes. He knows what's going on in that spiritual realm. And he will reveal it to his prophets, but you don't know it yet. And he hasn't told a prophet to say anything to you. He's had a prophet to pray for you. He's had an intercessor to pray for you, but he's laid you on somebody's heart to bring you through, to pray for you. Yes. But you leaning on this knowledge, but does that knowledge apply here? See, our textbooks are based on things that are in the earth realm, not in the spiritual one. As a matter of fact, they try to combat what's going on in the spiritual realm. So how do you lean on a textbook answer when you need a spiritual one? Think about that. Think about it. When prayer comes second, but everything else comes first. When prayer comes second and everything else comes first. How are you handling the pressures of your Trust God season? How are you handling your dark times? How are you handling it? Let me know. Because we're supposed to trust him. Like I said, God's been dealing with me for a long time concerning this. And I'm telling you, I've seen him come through time after time after time after time. I've seen him come through. When I say I've had some rough Trust God seasons, there's a lot of testimonies I really can't get into because they're not just mine alone. And I don't want to put anyone out there who, I don't want to put anyone out there yet who's not ready. Once they share theirs, then I can go in and share my story. But what I can tell you is this. In 2021 or 2022. Were we in 2023 and 4, 23? So it's 2021. In 2021, we bought this house. And we wanted to share it with our family, with our children, all of that. We hadn't had our keys for 3 hours. We hadn't had our keys for 3 hours. Then we got a phone call that dropped the bottom out from under us. It was nothing but the enemy. Nothing but the enemy. And I'm like, God, you mean to tell me we couldn't even waited 24 hours for this? Why couldn't we just enjoy our new home with our family at least for 24 hours before this? Before this. But it was a hard one. It was a hard one. And it was a 2-year process. A 2-year process. But God prevailed, and he heard our prayers. And I had to call in my sisters to help me pray, because what we were looking at was painful, heartbreaking. It was rough. But when I say God was in the midst of each and every, and the testimony that came from that person that they just recently shared, I was like, God, look at you. Look at you. Look at you. And that's why I say I can't get into it, because they're not ready to share it. But when they do, I'm definitely going to dig in, because it'll be my time to share it. Because I'm all about protecting people. I'm not about exposing people. I'm not built that way. I'm really not built that way. And not really exposing, but telling somebody else's story. When they share it, then that is the appropriate time for it to be shared, not before then. So, and this is just my conviction. It don't have to be nobody else's, but this is to protect them, you know. But the different testimonies that were within that dark period, trusting God, didn't know how it was going to turn out, didn't know what was going to happen. But God, when I say but God, but God did that. He did it all from beginning to end. He did it all. Did it all. And now we're walking in fulfillment. In fulfillment. In fulfillment. Just, and I just ask, and I pray right now, even for them and against the enemy, that he does not try to attack their testimony or mine. And that he doesn't try to, make this testimony look ugly or bad, because he can do it, and he has tried before. Try to make your testimony seem of none effect. But I decree and declare that this testimony and them, they are protected and sealed with the blood of Jesus Christ. And what the enemy, no weapon formed against them shall prosper. And every tongue that rises up against them, we shall condemn. So, like I said, you got to trust God. And he's going to come through. And when he comes through, baby, when I tell you, when he come through, he going to come through. And that in peace is going to look good. So don't think, when you're in the middle of it, don't think that it's finished. We have some type of concept that when we're going through it, it's finished. Like, this is the end. This is the end. This is it. No, it's not. It's just a process. When you get to the end, trust me, you gonna know it, because God is gonna be glorified, and you will have everlasting joy. You will have joy. You will have peace. You will have such happiness when you get to the other side of that trust God. And then the beauty of it will be unmatched. So I hope this encouraged you. Just know that God is not going to fail you. He's not going to fail you. You can't even show it to me in the word where he failed his people, especially when it counted. He did not fail them. And if you want to bring me the 12 plagues of, of Egypt and all that kind of stuff, baby, that's what I'm talking about, the process of the thing. See, he didn't fail them. That was the process. Because why? He knew that when he told Moses, the people, the enemies that you see, you will see no more. He knew that. He knew what he was doing, because he wanted it to be done, finished, and complete, where Pharaoh can't even come back no more, where they are on the other side of the trust God. And when they made it to the other side of the trust God, Pharaoh wasn't behind them no more. Even though they tried to go back because they didn't like the process. Don't be like them. I'm not saying that the process is easy. Trust me when I say I ain't saying that, baby, because I done cried many a nights. My pillows could tell you stories. My pillows could tell you stories. My prayer closet could tell you stories. How frustrated I was, how angry I was, how depressed I was, how, sad I was. And, I'm fighting on every hand. Like, I'm like, God, I'm confused. It could tell you. It could tell you. So I'm trying to tell you what I know. The process ain't easy, but trust him. Don't trust in the lies. Don't trust in the process of it. Trust in the Lord. Don't even trust the process. Trust the Lord. Don't even trust in the ending. Trust the Lord. Don't even trust in what looks good. Trust the Lord. Because what looks good can turn bad real quick. Real quick. But if you trust God, God will not fail you. And that's what this says right here. It's yellow one. God will not fail me. He will not fail you. So walk in it. Trust him. I know it's messy. I know it's hard to see in it. But trust him. Because even though you can't tell it says trust God, it still says trust God. So he's there. No matter what it looks like. He will not fail you.